Great. Thanks, Durya. So Durya just talked a little bit about our Technology Vision 2015, and I don't know if you realized it, but this is just hot off the press. Hot off the press, it's just been released. So you kind of got a sneak peek into what Technology 2015 is for Accenture. And this is something that Accenture does, every year. Every year it has a vision on where technology is going and how that's impacting business. So, so these are 5 very important trends. Hopefully a lot of these kind of rang a bell for a lot of you, because I think most of you are working in companies where in some way, shape, or form, these things are being articulated. Maybe not with the same words, but they're being articulated. Did that happen? Did that happen for a lot of you? Show of hands. How many people kind of identified? Fantastic, fantastic. The other thing is, this particular forum is called Shaping the Future Forum. We do this every year. I believe last year we did it in Bangalore. So what we're trying to do also is kind of go around India and kind of, at least from the Accenture point of view, evangelize what we think about, how the future is being shaped, especially by technology, right? How many of you here, and I'm going to try to make this interactive, because I know this kind of setup almost feels like one person on the podium starts talking and you listen. It's a Saturday, we will have a discussion, okay? We will not try to make it one way. Feel free to throw questions at any point. And if I can't answer it, I'll ask some of my colleagues here, to answer it. So we'll start this whole questioning thing by, let me pose the first question. Yes, it is Shaping the Future Forum, but did any of you grasp what the theme for this year is? Anyone? Anyone in the audience? Not the Accenture folks, but anyone else? Any idea? I mean, I know it's still early, but there is an MC who spoke a bit, and then Durya kind of had a little bit of a talk. Any idea as to what the theme is over and above Shaping the Future Forum? Because every year we actually have a theme. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think it clearly wants to say that you should make software that pleases your customer.
Wonderful. That's definitely part of it. Anyone else? Go crazy. Yes. Wonderful. Let's park that also.
Creating intelligent software that caters to the customer needs.
Great. Again, wonderful. Fantastic. The Internet of Me, personalization. Great. IoT, wonderful. I think that's a very hot topic. Everyone's very, very interested. Fantastic. How does analytics play a role, especially as we start gathering more and more data, more and more information? How do we make sense of it? Absolutely. Automation, fantastic. Intelligent enterprises, how do we kind of balance between the scarcity of human talent versus what's available through software, and how do we strike the right balance? Where do we put our humans? Where do we put our machines? Fantastic. Yeah. Great, great. All very, very valid points. Yeah, go ahead, sorry. Wonderful. Again, great. World is moving. People are not just interacting face to face, but the whole social media movement is enabling us to, chat with people. Just personally, I'll digress a bit. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I remember when I was very young, in school, we were all asked to write pen letters, have pen friends and write letters. So we kind of communicated actually with people we didn't even know, but the school kind of brought this whole list of people, these people sitting in, I don't know, US or Germany or whatever, want to talk to you, so write a letter, right? It's changed dramatically. I have some close friends, in Germany, and my daughter actually speaks to the 5-year-old daughter of my friend. They've not met each other. They're Skyping, and they're kind of building a relationship, right? Technology just changes how we do things. Some of the things, the underlying things may be the same, but technology changes how we do things. All of the things that you've said are spot on, but just, for the sake of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, the theme actually today, and I want you to bear this in mind, because we won't be explicitly addressing it, but I think as you're going through the day, I hope you get a flavor of that's what we are trying to do, which is, building differentiated products that drive a software-driven future. That's what we're trying to do, okay? So anyway, first of all, welcome, and thank you so much, for coming here on a Saturday. For most of you, it's a holiday. And like the MC said, if you're a cricket buff like me, I'd rather be checking the scores than sitting here. But the very fact so many of you are here, very, very appreciative. Once I'm done, I will try to keep checking the scores and give you an update, whenever I can inject it. So that's my promise to you. But thank you very much. It's really, really useful having all of you here, especially, as we move from city to city, and we do this, every year, we get a flavor of what a city is thinking, and what Bombay is thinking is really, really important to us. Okay? My name is Srinath Subrahmanyan, and the MC did introduce me. Amongst all the people you're going to hear today, I'm probably the newest to Accenture. Been here for about 4 months or so, but I've spent more than a couple of decades in the industry, in the product software industry, working across pretty much all the disciplines of a product development lifecycle, from product management to product engineering to professional services. Very early in my life, product support also. So kind of that's the context I bring, and I kind of like to see the whole cycle end to end. It's nice to have, to touch all of those things, because then you experience product software in a very, 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 very different way. So we talked about software-driven future, and that's kind of getting a lot of traction. Are you seeing it, in the market? Are you reading press where people are talking more and more about software-driven future? Are you hearing a lot of those things? Yeah. Personally for me, especially since Mr. Vishal Sikka took over, Infosys, you seem to hear this almost every other day, right? How do we build a software-driven future, right? Both from the producer side, Sikka talks a lot about. In fact, I would argue, I actually came from Edgeverve Systems, which is a product subsidiary within Infosys. And I spent 5 years of my life there. I just spent a little overlap with Mr. Sikka. But much before Mr. Sikka, Rohan Murthy, Mr. NRN's son, was also talking about a lot of those things, right? From a producer side, how do we eat our own dog food, as they say, right? He was talking a lot about, automating the process of building software. Right? He wanted to bring things from artificial intelligence. He wanted to bring things from autonomics. He wanted to bring things from robotics and automate the whole process of building software. Again, it comes back to what Durya was saying. How do I balance between human scarcity, and building intelligent software systems, right? So again, that itself is a software-driven future from the producer side, right? Similarly, from a consumer side, you all experienced it. We put a lot of analytics into personalization. We put a lot of analytics into understanding our customers. And we derive a lot of insights as we provide these personalized experiences. All of you may have experienced it in different ways. On one end, you go to Amazon or you go to Flipkart now, you buy something and you get a lot of recommendations that seem very, very pertinent. I don't know about you, but what I do usually is, like, let's say there is a particular subject that I want to buy a book on. I just go first to Amazon.com, usually, not .co.in, because there is richer information there. I look at the book, just pick the subject, pick some random book, and then start looking at some reviews. And then I start looking at, what people really bought, what are the other things. Do a whole bunch of research, finish all of that, then go to Flipkart or, wherever else and buy the book, right? I don't buy it off the streets, but I do buy the book and buy it from one of these places. So I think the whole way we do things has changed, right? This is very different from our parents, or even me, I'm probably more your parents' age than your age, where we actually used to go to, at least in the US, and Landmark, changed that in India also, where you kind of went to a bookstore, flipped through, and you did the same thing, but you did it physically in one shop. And what does that do? What is the difference? from doing that to what we are doing today? Someone just, in the spirit of keeping it interactive, what are your thoughts? What's different? Perfect, right? Perfect. We're talking about scale, right? I go to one store, I'm restricted to the inventory of that store. I'm restricted in terms of time, possibly. I'm restricted in terms of distance, right? Here I can sit, and I'm restricted in terms of geography. There may be a fantastic store in Chennai, but you're in Mumbai. Sorry, you kind of have to go there and make your decision.
The biggest thing to me is it avoids the wait time of my wife getting dressed. On board, biggest problem.
Well, we'll keep that aside.
That's not a technology problem as yet.
Right. You will probably figure something else out. Yeah. This little SMS message which comes and tells your wife, you want it somewhere else. Anyway, we'll park that aside. But that's how a lot of things have changed, right? But is this really new? This concept of a software-driven future, is this really new? What do you guys think? Is it something that we're talking only for the last couple of years, or something that we've been talking for much longer? Yeah. Some examples, can you share some examples with me? Sorry, actually this thing is really, really bright. So if I seem like I'm squinting, it's because of that. Yeah, go ahead.
I personally feel it's not new. Only thing is that earlier with
That's okay. We can hear you, and I'll repeat it.
earlier there were software products still, like I guess it's around 15 years from the software products in the industry, but only the products were used the kind of rich product. Now being there's a political motive, and like everybody has heard, town converting to smart cities, everything getting digitalization in not only rich people, even the common people use that. So I feel there's a necessity which has come now. So that's a thing which has changed where software products are coming into, what we say, it's a necessity, not it's like it was still there, but now it's there everybody's mind, even the small children said how to use mobile. That's a change we can see now.
You're absolutely right, and actually that's a fantastic point that you bring. So we were just talking from a very, very business perspective. The whole political angle, but leaving the politics aside, it's permeated across to say, cities need to be smart. Let's really take India to the next level. Our GDP is fast becoming the highest. Why should we compromise on everything else, right? So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But personally for me, this is kind of been there for, I would say, more than 2 decades. I don't know, maybe a lot of you were not, you were in school at this time, but there was a lot of debate around the whole Y2K framework. I was working for a management consulting firm at that time, and that was the single biggest focus, right? And I was actually particularly working in the northeastern part of the US with a leading energy and utility player. And we got a chance, because we're a management consulting firm, we got a chance to interact with a lot of the IT executives with this particular client. And the common thread was everyone was kind of worrying what will happen, come the dawn of Y2K. What will happen, especially the energy and utilities companies, they just have discussions, are we going to go dark? Is it just going to be a total blackout? What's going to happen to healthcare, delivery? Will systems be impacted? There are senior citizens having, health devices, which rely so much on software. Will they all blink? Are hospitals going to have several emergencies on their hands? These were the kind of discussions that were happening. Of course, Y2K came and there was no doom. But, the very fact that those discussions happened in 1996, 1997, 20 years back, tells you how much people thought of a software-driven future. You know, how much technology was there then? It may not have been Java. It may have not have been Linux. In that world, which is far away from the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, it may have still been mainframes. You know, those executives lived and died by mainframes. They believed in them, you know. But nevertheless, you know, that discussion has been happening on for a long, long time, okay? So anyway, I'll step away from that preamble and get into this matter at hand. You know, Duriya spoke a lot about Accenture as a whole and what we are thinking in terms of the technology trends. And so it's my duty to take that to the next step, which is about Accenture Software. How many of you have heard of Accenture Software here? Just a dipstick. Okay, 3-4 hands. So which is good. You know, which is like the slippers in the Sahara kind of this thing. Have you heard of the slippers in the Sahara thing? Okay, I'll digress again. You know, I like digressing. So this is a very classic marketing thing. You know, so there are these two marketing guys, and the you know, chief marketing officer calls them and says, you know, we have to go and sell slippers in the Sahara. You know, I want you guys to go and build that business. Okay, so go over to Africa, go to the Sahara, and you know, sell slippers, right? And these two guys go, and then they come back, right, and report to this chief marketing officer. The first guy says, I have no idea how we are going to do this. No one in the Sahara is wearing slippers. You know, how are we going to sell slippers to Sahara? Are you even sure this is the market we want to pursue? You know, what kind of market research have we done? You know, what kind of addressable market we have? You know, I think the addressable market is 0. No one wears slippers. You know, how am I going to sell? Right? The second guy says, fantastic. You know, thank you so much for sending me there. No one wears slippers. That whole population is wide open in front of me. You know, I'm going to go and sell slippers to everyone. And guess what? None of our competition is there. So yeah. So, you know, it's just the way of looking at things. So the fact only 4 of you put up your hands means it's a slippers in the Sahara thing. For me, for Mauli, who's, you know, going to follow us, you know, for our analytics people, everyone here. So as you walk out at the end of the day, you know, you should know what Accenture Software is, okay? So anyway, Accenture Software is actually a wholly owned unit within the larger Accenture umbrella, which is focused largely on building IP and building products, you know, within Accenture that power our solutions. A little different from the rest of Accenture, which is more of a services company, which means a lot of what we do, we still build software, we build software for our customers, but a lot of times that software is owned by the customers, not by us. This is a traditional product business, you know. So we are organized like a product company, right? Not like a services company. You know, we have more than 4,000, you know, professionals, you know, in this business, all the way from product management to product engineering to, you know, professional services, because, you know, we are actually in the business of enterprise software. While we have a consumer play in one of our products, and I'll briefly mention that, but we're largely in the business of enterprise software. You know, and that works well with who we are, you know, the larger parent, right? We are in Fortune 1000 kind of companies and more, and we actually help solve their business problems. So with the products that we build, we can kind of take it, bring value, a layer of value over and above the business solutions that we build for them. So that's kind of what we do. And this is, yeah, you are seeing it. This is our charter. So we have a portfolio of products that power industry solutions. So which means we are not making Microsoft Office. What we're doing is building products that have deep industry knowledge and, you know, a very, very strong, you know, technical grounding. You know, Mauli will talk more about that, you know, when he follows up. We are very focused on business outcomes. You know, that's very, very important for us. Because really, end of the day, the value is your customers realizing value. You know, your customers being able to change their business outcomes in a very, very radical way because they used your software. You know, their software-driven future trajectory has changed in a significant way because they're using our products, right? So that's very important for us. Um, and because we live in today's world, which is again very, very different from how software was delivered before. Any guesses? You know, how was software delivered before? Product software. Let's say 10 years back. Exactly. You know, CDs. And how was it sold before? Exactly. License, maintenance, you know, I'll sell it to you, and I hope you're using it well. You know, by the way, you know, if you have problems, just call us, and we have a product support arm, and if you want platinum support, you know, we'll charge you this much, blah, blah, blah. You know, what ended up happening was, if you were two people in a garage who needed that piece of software, sorry, boss, you're not in my addressable market, you know, unless it's a lower ticket item like Microsoft Office. Otherwise, you're not in my addressable market, because I'm not even focusing on you. I'm focusing on GE, I'm focusing on Boeing, I'm focusing on the really large players, right? Today, we provision in several different ways. I'm not saying we don't do that anymore. You know, we still have on-premise. In fact, a lot of our tier 1 customers prefer the on-premise in specific spaces, but we are also moving on to software as a service. We are also hosting that service, and then we are slapping on a lot of the things that we have on the table, like our professional services, like our BPO, so on and so forth, so that we can kind of own the whole process, and we can deliver it to you as a business outcome. So then now, if you're a 2-person in a garage, you know, I'm just exaggerating a bit, but you know, if you're a really small company, then you don't have to spend this oodles of money on license and AMC and all of that stuff. You use our product, you kind of, as you're using it, just like electricity, pay, right? I don't expect you to pay every month on the dot, like the rents that we pay, whether you're living in the house or not, right? This is more like use it, pay. So multiple ways of delivering from license to, you know, outcome-driven thing is very, very important. If you look at a lot of our software, you will see that. And as we go through, you know, maybe we'll also guess a bit, you know, what do you think the outcome is here, right? Maybe I'll start again, you know. So like I said, I lead engineering for a freight and logistics product line. And what that means is we help in taking cargo from one place, which is the origin, to the destination. What do you think the outcome could be there? The business outcome, so that we can kind of say, this is how we will charge you. So how would I use that to charge my customer? How do I use the utility model if I use those two things? I'm sorry? No, I mean, what would be the money, right? Let me give you a parallel example. We have another product called Mortgage Cadence, which is in the loan origination business, which is as each of you is going and getting a home loan, right? This product helps, right? There's a whole bunch of process. You just go to a bank and say, hey, can you give me a loan? I want to buy a house. They're not going to just, you know, fork the cash. You know, that's not the way it works, right? There is a whole process before they say whether, will this guy actually pay me back, or he'll say, thank you, boss, I got the house, sell it and run, right? That's not the way it's going to work, right? So there is a whole process. So this product helps with that process. In that product, the outcome is the number of loans that get processed. So I will charge my customer saying, pay me based on the number of loans I process for you, right? So that's an outcome. So similarly, in our freight and logistics play, the real value is delivering that piece of cargo from an origin to a destination, right? So we have to have some way of measuring that, right? And in the air cargo space, we use something called an airway bill, which you may have also seen when you get your FedEx or Blue Dart or something. 8WB, you may just not have cared much about it, but it's really the airway bill which signifies that this thing has actually been delivered. So we use that outcome, right? And that's what's really exciting about this whole play, you know, of how we do things. Nothing is at standstill, right? what was cool 10 years back is passé today. We discover more and more things, be it companies, be it software, be it models. This is a model. This is a commercialization model, right? Which is powered by technology. It's only possible because technology is able to power it, right? 25 years back, maybe it would have been harder to do, right? So that is, definitely what we're doing, and we really pride ourselves in engineering superior software, right? So which means, our architectures have to be well crafted, especially in this space where we are going to deliver things on outcomes, right? If you want to deliver things on outcomes, we have to pay specific attention to how do we deliver things as a service, right? A whole bunch of things need to happen. Mauli will talk more about that, right? And we want to be functionally rich, okay? Because again, we are influencing business outcomes, right? We can't say, oops, sorry, we can't do that. Oh, you wanted to really go from, Delhi to San Francisco and have your cargo broken up in these many different ways and ship it very differently in a staggered fashion. Sorry, we can't do that. We'll take the whole of it or nothing. We can't say stuff like that, right? Because the business demands it. But at the same time, there is power in agility, there's power in iteration, right? So figure out what is really useful for your customers, right? Have you heard of the term MVP, minimum viable product? Yeah? So what does that mean for you? You nodded. What does it mean for you? Minimum viable product. And where have you heard that term? That will be interesting also.
And how it is getting addressed, and how you are giving a customer rich services, how he can track his entire services. These things, it's really matters. Earlier, these are the things that are not there. Where now, in a normal customer also, if I am going for any courier services, the way the things are giving to the customer, the information also matters. That gives like very customer centric. So
wonderful. So to some extent, what you're actually articulating is, I'm going to figure out what are the things that I want to build first, right? And hit those things before I move on, rather than say, here is this big bang, but you know what, it's going to take me 2 years to have my first release. So I'll take 2 years and build this product and release it. That's not going to work in today's world. That world is gone. Put it aside. Your customer is not going to wait for you for 2 years, okay? So you have to keep delivering faster and better, and you basically say, okay, I'm going to figure out what is it they want, and then do it. And there are 2 ways to do that, right? The term viable seems to indicate, can I actually do this? And I'll use that as a basis to prioritize. And that can be misleading. Product management is where this term usually comes. Some of you who are product managers may have probably heard it, right? But the reality is, value is really the strongest currency here, right? So you should not let the term minimum viable kind of take you off on a different path, saying, oh, I can't do it, therefore I'll put it to later, right? So some of the leading companies, and us included, we actually use the term minimum useful product, right? MUP, not MVP, okay? And useful is very, very clear. There is no ambiguity there. Is it giving you value? If it's giving you value, great, okay? So anyway, that's kind of what we put into our engineering process, okay? So a little bit about us. We are not a we kind of keep the startup mindset, but we are not a startup, okay? We're very well established. Actually we are $1 billion unit within Accenture. You may say Accenture is a $30 billion unit, so big deal, but $1 billion is a big deal, for a product company, okay? We have customers across 31 countries. In fact, we have 9 software businesses that are aligned with about 8 vertical, business units.